Praise the Lord, from whom all blessings and healing and supernatural dealings and correction in life flows through and from. This is the day the Lord have made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. I am so glad to be home. I love to fly, but I'm a chicken sometimes. The first little sign of turbulence, I start digging my nails through my sneakers into the floorboards of the cabin of the airplane. I love to fly, but sometimes that PTSD and anxiety kicks in. Jane, stop this crazy thing. So many of y'all are George Jetson. George Jetson walked his own silly self out there and got on that slippery, sliding, moving sidewalk and had the nerve to call on his wife. It's amazing when most of us have so many types of ailments and problems and psychological and mental and emotional and drug and heart and racial and racist and the embodiment of bitterness. All of us have some type of problem. Jane, stop this crazy thing. George Jetson went out there and got himself on that moving sidewalk, that treadmill of life, and started slipping and sliding with his words and mindset and anger and evil and heart set in stone of the enemy, and had the nerve to say, Jane, stop this crazy thing. A lot of us are George Jetson. It's amazing how George Jetson put himself in that situation. It's amazing how he allowed his own heart and mind and decisiveness to get him into that corner, that situation, that problem. And how many of us call on everybody but the Lord when we have mental, emotional, and psychological, and metaphysical, and egotistical problems? You call on financial problems. You call on him when you have money problems. You call on when you have money woes. Call on Yahweh when you have heart and mind woes. Whoa. God is a prayer answering God. Hi, God. Yes, he is. George Jetson called on his wife. She came out there and crossed her arms. Couldn't help him. George Jetson called on Jane. His oldest child, his daughter, came out and, like mama, like daughter, crossed her arms and watched daddy slip and slide with his mouth and his actions and his attitude and his altitude. I don't have an attitude. I have altitude. My God. Hi, God. Then came man's best friend, Rough. That was a rough situation. He came out there and sat and almost like the dog smiled watching his master slip and slide on this situation called life. His mind, his mouth, his mentality. I don't have attitude. I have altitude. My God, my God. Hi, God. Then came his firstborn son, too small to handle such a large situation for daddy. Then came technology, Rosie the robot, the hired help, his wife, his oldest child, his daughter, his firstborn son, man's best friend, technology, Rosie the robot, and the hired help at the same time. Couldn't help George Jetson. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. It says all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. But had they got him to Yahweh, the Most High God, I know Yahweh could have put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So many of us have a Humpty Dumpty mentality and mindset and heart and mind, and it's just fall to pieces. And only God, the Most High God, Yahweh, can put us back together again. George Jetson said, Jane, stop this crazy thing. He was talking about that treadmill. He was talking about that moving sidewalk. When he should have been saying, Jane, pray for me. Jane, help me stop my racism. Jane, pray for me to stop my anger. Jane, pray for me to stop my vicious speaking and my harsh words and my evil and my bitterness and my ego, which means edging God out. Jane, pray for me. Jane, lay hands on me. Jane, let's touch and agree and pray for my mentality and my mind. Jane, stop this crazy thing. She could have went over and turned the moving sidewalk off. She could have went over and hit the power button for the moving treadmill. But the treadmill of life, only God. Only God has his hand on the barometer of life, the thermostat of life. Only God can turn the heat down. Only God can insulate us from the inside out from hate and anger and evil and racistness and being bigoted and one-sided and demoralizing one another. Jane, stop this crazy thing. Jane can do anything because she knew that her husband, she knew that George, he got himself in this situation. We need to call on God, the Most High God. High God. We call on Yahweh, the Most High God. High God. When we find ourselves in slippery situations where our mind and heart just can't get right. When we find ourselves in situations where we need the surgery of God, we need to call on the Most High God. High God. He's a good and gracious God. He's a prayer answering God. Jane, stop this crazy thing. I can't. But what is impossible with man is more than possible with God. I pray for you, George Jetson. And I know that Humpty Dumpty, had they got him to the Most High God, it had they got him to Yahweh, Yahweh could have put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Jane, you can't stop this crazy thing. Only God can. Leave your heart. Leave your mind. Leave your ways. Leave yourself at the foot of God, at the foot of the mountain of God. Make your appointment for the surgery of God, the Most High God, high God. And I promise you, you'll never, ever, ever have to scream, Jane, stop this crazy thing ever again. I enjoyed Colorado. I've touched down to Illinois, and I'm still on fire for the Most High God. High God, I love y'all. Peace. One.